I've made north of 950k in the past 8 months trading Forex. A few hours ago, I actually invested 100k of these trading profits into Coinbase. And last month, I had my biggest trading month where I hit a 100% win rate for the first time in my entire trading career, which was unbelievable. Like till right now, I'm still thinking like, how the fuck did I accomplish such a beautiful, perfect month where every single trade that I took turned into gold. Every single trade that I took had at least 1:5R. There was one where it's 1:7.8R, which is a pretty insane, nice little snipe, right? And I guess in this unfiltered little lesson, I just wanted to share with you 5 key lessons that I've learned throughout the past 6 years, right? That really contributed to my monumental success in trading, right? That really allowed me to make almost $1 million from day trading. The first thing is belief, right? I honestly didn't believe that it was possible to get 100% win rate. Like, to be frank, I just thought that it was not possible because my win rate is usually hovering around 30 to 50%. But last month, at the start of the month, I told myself that I'm gonna be as disciplined as possible. I'm gonna be as calm, focused, and logical and rational as possible when I'm trading. Which is why I'm not gonna deviate from my plan whatsoever. Like, come hell or high water, I'm gonna stick to my plan and I'm gonna execute it to the best of my abilities. So that was the commitment, that was the intention that I have at the start of last month, and I pretty much just did that, right? I told myself that, you know what, if I don't follow my plan, I'm just not gonna trade. And because I set that intention in mind and I believe that if I actually do this properly, I'm gonna get 100% win rate this month. And as a result, that belief, that intention led me into taking the actions necessary for me to achieve the result, which is the goal of making as much money as humanly possible, right? Because that's our goal as traders. So I pretty much just only took A+ setups, which lines up with my plan for the last 30 days or so. Like, there's no B setups, there is no C setups, 100%. I would never ever take C setups in my entire life. I mean, I used to, but I would never ever do that anymore because I've learned it the hard way. And now I only focus on A+ setups, right? Because of the fact that I only focused on A+ setups in the last month and I executed my trade plan without hesitation, without reservation, without fear, without emotions interfering and clouding my judgment. Boom, the results actually came. The money came as a byproduct of sticking to the process, sticking to the plan. The second lesson is making data-driven decisions instead of emotional decisions. Now, you must understand that confidence comes from competence. Confidence comes from data. If you have data that actually prove that your strategy works, you are much more likely to believe in your strategy, which means you're much more likely to follow your trade plan, which means you're much more likely to make even more money. That's how humans operate, right? We pretty much act in accordance with our belief. And the only way you can develop belief and conviction in your trade plan is by gathering as much data as humanly possible. I've been trading for 6 years, right? Nearly 7 years right now. So I've probably spent at least 10,000 hours on the chart. But I've also taken at least 10,000 trades throughout my entire career. I think 10,000 is indeed an understatement, right? My point here is that I've taken such a ridiculous amount of trades and gathered such an unbelievable amount of data that it's impossible for me to actually succeed. So it's important to gather as much data as possible. The sooner you can take 100 trades, the faster you can actually develop your edge. Because the faster you will be able to analyze and evaluate what's working and what's not working. And that tight feedback loop that you actually have will allow you to speed up the process of actually becoming profitable. So my advice is simple. You want to strive to take at least 100 trades. You can either do it via backtesting, demo testing, or forward testing, or demo trading, whatever practice you want to do, you can do that, but just make sure that you take at least 100 trades. Once you've taken these 100 trades, what I want you to do is to go and evaluate the top 10% of these 100 trades. You know, the top 10% of the winning trades, to find out what those trades have in common that the bottom 90%, the losing trades, does not have. Because by doing that, you are able to identify the confluences that actually allow the trades to be in your favor. What I found personally is that when I actually reviewed my data, I found that I usually win the trades that I take on Wednesday. I usually win the trades that I take during the London Q zone or during the overlap during the London and New York session. And I usually win when I deploy entry model number 3 out of 10 of the entry models that I have in my arsenal. And I usually win when I'm trading pro swing structure or pro internal structure. So based on this, right, based on evaluating the data, I found out that, these are the factors, these are the variables that contribute to my success. All I have to do is to repeat these variables or try to put myself in the environment where I can actually have these variables to be as close as my ideal situation as possible. That's all it is. Then it's all about identifying those variables, those factors in life market conditions, and when they do, you just gotta execute your trade plan, right? You just gotta enter without reservation, without hesitation, without any emotion whatsoever. And then what you also want to do is to look at the bottom 90% of the trades that you are losing, right? Because based on these trades, you can find out what are the patterns that you keep repeating, the destructive behavior that you keep repeating, the unconscious thoughts that you usually have when you actually execute these trades, right? And it's usually the same shit. Like, it's usually either because you are revenge trading, or you are trading because of this desire to make money, or you are trying to avoid pain by closing a trade too early rather than letting the trade run to your overall TP. Like, it's usually the same mistakes over and over again. And by evaluating this bottom 90% of like these losing trades, what happens is that you gain awareness. You gain awareness over your mistakes, over your subconscious patterns, over the subconscious forces that are pulling you away from profitability. And when you get that awareness, next thing you know, you can actually develop solutions. You can actually develop strategies to mitigate these bad behaviors, right? To reduce these recurring bad patterns that is really causing you to lose a lot of money. And then you just stop doing those stuff. Successful trading is all about inverting, right? It's about just not doing the stuff that will make you unsuccessful, right? So if revenge trading, over trading, trading without conviction, not trusting your analysis are the stuff that is going to cause you to be unprofitable, then the simple way to become profitable is not do those things, right? Like what Charlie Munger says, invert, always invert. Find out the stuff that you shouldn't be doing and then just not do those stuff. As simple as that. And that's what trading is all about, or rather that's what profitable trading is all about. It's this process of continuous learning and continuous introspection and figuring out what works so you can do more of what works, and then you are able to experiment to see other stuff that might actually allow you to become more successful. The third lesson that I want to share with you today is volume negates luck. Now, people might think that I got lucky, right? People might think that, oh, Brad, you just got lucky last month, 100% win rate, alright, cool, you got lucky. Well, what you don't understand is luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Volume negates luck. I'll talk about preparation first, right? The reason why I can actually get a 100% win rate was because I made a plan, right? I had a trading plan. I know what are the days that I want to be trading. I know what are the currency pairs that I want to be trading, and I know what time I want to be executing my plan. So I pretty much put myself in the position to capitalize on the luck. Fortune favors the bold, right? So if you have done enough preparation and you have done enough research and you decide to shop every single day, guess what? You will never miss a lucky day because you are constantly putting yourself in the environment to actually capitalize on the luck. When opportunity actually appears, preparation meets the opportunity, and you're able to seize the opportunity and you're able to take the action necessary to actually capitalize on the luck. And the next thing is volume negates luck. Now, what I mean by volume negates luck is that you gotta do so much volume and gather so much data that it makes it unbelievable that you do not succeed. Like, genuinely, you just gotta take that large amount of trades, like what I mentioned in the previous lesson. If you take 1,000 trades, if you spend 10,000 hours on the chart, it is impossible that you won't master this craft unless you do it the wrong thing over and over again. So right now, I'm gonna ask you a question and I want you to answer it honestly. What is the number of trades that you should be taking in order for you to develop an undeniable confidence over your edge? Close your eyes right now and think about the answer. I'm pretty sure a number just popped into your mind. It could be 5,000, it could be 1,000, it could be 100, it could be 10,000. Whatever the number is, the next thing is to go and take that amount of trades. Like I said, you don't have to take it on your live account. You can do it on a demo account. You can do it via backtesting. But you just have to take that amount, that number of trades. Because when you can actually do that, then, my friend, you have put in so much volume that you would develop this undeniable conviction in yourself, in your ability to actually execute. All right, that's how you develop confidence, that you pretty much outcompete the rest of the retail traders out there. The fourth lesson is you don't rise to your strategy, you fall to your habits. What are the habits that you are doing every single day that is allowing you to be one step closer towards your goals? What are the bad habits that you know that you shouldn't be doing that is preventing you from achieving your greatest goals, from achieving your dream life, that is not in alignment with the highest version of yourself? The bad habits you want to eliminate, the good habits you want to do more of. For me personally, I have a certain set of routine. I have a certain set of habits that I do on a daily basis to once again ensure that I capitalize on the luck that the market presents to me, right? I have a very fixed set of actions that I take before the London session open, during the London session open, and after the session has ended, right? I have a specific set of systems and processes which allows me to just level up on a daily basis, which allows me to just know exactly what I need to do without thinking or wasting my willpower or brain power thinking about what to do today, right? Because those habits, what happens is that it eliminates my need to actually think, right? It just allows me to just execute and take action. And those habits could be, for example, my pre-market routine, right? What I do is that I want to make sure that I mark out my charts, right? I map out my swing structure, my internal structure, identify the trend direction, mark out where's the available liquidity, so on and so forth. And I also want to make sure that I meditate, right? Because that is where I'm able to ground myself in the present moment so that when I actually go onto the charts, I can actually focus on what price is showing me rather than what I think price is going to do. And then another thing could be I also check the news, right? To ensure that I do not get caught up in high impact news when I'm in a particular position, right? So you can see all of these tiny habits, they might not like change your life significantly or just transform your trading. Like you're not going to automatically make 10K a month after you start implementing these habits. But if you do those habits for an extended period of time, what happens is that you're just going to get better and better at trading. And then you are going to be more systematic. You're going to be more mechanical in terms of executing like these habits right here. And then when that actually happens, guess what? You're taking actions consistently. The market will reward you with profits consistently. Consistent actions leads to consistent profits. As simple as that. So define the habits that will actually allow you to become profitable. And you might want to do your research on this, right? Research what professional traders are doing on like a daily basis. You know, they usually go through the tape, which means they actually review their trades after they end their trading day, right? They review the screen recording of their trade breakdown. They actually do like this certain 5-step morning routine before they actually go onto the charts, right? So once you have this specific set of routine and habits that you want to follow every single day, then it's all about just executing, right? It's all about just doing this stuff, come hell or high water, regardless of how you feel, right? Regardless whether you feel sad, angry, depressed, joy, complacent, whatever it is, you just show up and you do what's necessary to succeed, right? You do those habits right there. All right, so my camera just died, so I guess I'm using this other camera. So the last lesson I want to talk about today is trading like a contrarian rather than like a crowd follower. Now, you must understand that majority of traders lose, right? 90% of traders lose. That's what the statistics say. I'm not pulling this out of my ass. And I'm sure you've seen this to be true as well. You know, your friends suck at trading, your family who tried trading got burnt in the past. So we all know that they failed. But why do you think they failed? Well, they failed because of one thing called emotions. The reason why people fail is because trading requires you to actually fight against humanness in order to succeed. What I mean by that is that it's so difficult to succeed at trading if you are a human, if you have emotions. Because you must understand that whatever that was conditioned in our mind since the dawn of time, right, like through evolution, is just not meant for trading, right? So in order for us to actually succeed at trading, we need to actually rewire our primitive brain, right? Our primitive brain, right? We need to start thinking differently. We need to be able to stay calm under pressure instead of getting all frantic and having our fight or flight instinct get triggered when we actually face like a saber-toothed tiger. Like that part of the brain needs to be controlled if you want to be succeeding at trading, right? Which is why it's so important for you guys to actually like develop like a mechanical trading strategy so that you don't let emotions impede your judgment. And like I said, it all comes down to awareness. If you're able to aware of a certain emotion when it actually arises and you're able to spot the signs that you usually happen that triggers that emotion, or rather that emotion actually trigger those patterns. If you're able to develop the behaviors that you tend to take when a certain emotion arises, that is where you are able to interrupt that behavior and prevent the emotion from actually causing you to make a bad decision. Like I said, it all comes down to awareness. And the awareness only comes when you're able to take the time out and be introspective and actually review your trading and review your emotions before, during, and after you trade. So that's what it takes to trade like a contrarian, is to not let emotions cloud your judgment, is not do what majority of the people are doing. If the majority of traders are trying to take partial profits, then perhaps you shouldn't be taking partial profits, right? Because majority of traders are taking partial profits because they are afraid of losing the profits. They are afraid of losing the $5,000, the $2,000 that they're up right now. But if you're able to overcome that fear, you are able to let your profits run, right? You let your winners run high. Then that is where you're able to make a fuck ton of money on like one trade. That's really the secret, is to just not do what other people are doing. And if the majority of traders are trading and forcing trades on like a daily basis, taking thousands of trades, hundreds of trades within 5 minutes, then perhaps you want to make sure that you focus on the quality of the trades that you are taking rather than the quantity. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with taking quantity, right? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like taking 10 trades in 1 hour. If you're scalping, like that is quite common, right? But you want to make sure that you are extremely picky when it comes to the setups that you're entering on, because that's what professionals do, right? Retail traders, they are just focusing on shooting their machine gun and hopeful that one of their bullets, one of their 100 bullets hit the target. Trust me, I know this because I used to be a machine gunner back in the military. So trust me when I say that none of that shit actually hits the target. Or rather, like, I remember going to the range, and for the first time when I actually used the machine gun, and I would shoot like 50 bullets. Me and my partner, we shot the machine gun. So I shot 50 bullets, he shot 50 bullets. And bro, only 2 bullets hit the damn target. I shit you not, only 2 bullets hit the damn target. And then I was making excuses like how the grass was like blocking our scope and all that shit. But the truth is, the machine gun is not accurate, right? Or maybe it's a skill issue. Because maybe it's like the first time we actually used the machine gun, so we couldn't handle the recoil. So as a result, we just couldn't hit shit, right? So you can see, like, machine gun trading just doesn't work. You want to be executing like a sniper, right? You want to find the perfect trade with like an asymmetric risk to reward, and when it does, boom, take that shot. One good trade at a time. That's how you become successful at trading, right? So like I said, that's all it is. You just gotta do what others don't so you can get the results others won't. As simple as that. So those are the 5 key lessons that I've learned from, you know, like making a shit ton of money from trading and just trading for so long right now. And I hope that this lesson has really allowed you to gain some key insights into how like a professional trader who does this shit on like a daily basis actually think. Alright, so if you guys want more videos just like this, you can comment #unfiltered down in the chat, and yeah, perhaps I'll make more videos talking about some of the other very interesting lessons that I've learned from trading throughout my entire career. Alright, so with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and as always, remember, you're just one trade away.